Back in 2005, this camera came out, the Canon 5D, and it made people think, is this the end of film? And one thing that I've heard consistently throughout the years is that these early digital cameras actually look a lot like film. So today, let's put these two cameras side by side, the original 5D Classic and one of the last film cameras Canon produced, the EOS 1N. Film versus digital, classic versus classic, and let's see who comes out on top. Tell me why I had a huge urge to step in that. I had the urge to do it, but I didn't. Don't worry, I didn't do it, but I wanted to. What's wrong with me?
Hey, my name is Caleb, and I like to talk about film. Well, celluloid. And those celluloid, well, film cameras. However, this year I've been going through a little bit of a weird midlife digital crisis because more and more digital has been showing up on the channel. But at least those digital cameras seem semi-interesting though, right? 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 I haven't changed that much. But the 5D. Back in 2005, something cray-cray town happened. Canon came out of the gate swinging with, for the first time, a revolutionary 12 megapixel full frame camera. And at that point, the lines between the quality of sexy celluloid and the demonstrous digital were blurring. Now, I wanted to be as fair as possible between these two almost identical camera bodies. In my EOS 1N, I decided to slap in a film I hardly shoot, Portra 400. Portra 4 is such a versatile film. People love it, popes kiss it, and puppies probably try to eat it. Personally, it's not my favorite, but it has the latitude and the pro colors that I believe the 5D was actually going for. And since I landed on 400 ISO, I decided to set the 5D to 400 as well, and shoot both Canons in aperture priority mode. I also decided to slap on two identical 50mm 1.8 lenses onto these cameras to optically put them in the same playing field. With all those settings as same as I possibly could get them, I feel quite good that we could let the film and that old digital CCD sensor shine. Okay, so how about we play a little game? Film or 5D? You tell me below which is which. And stay tuned at the end for the results. Let's see if you can get them all correct or not.
Well, last time you could actually make your way in there. Seems like they've reinforced the fence a little bit. We'll see what the other side has to offer.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but these images are very similar, with just a few minor differences overall. But here we see the biggest difference is in the trees on the left-hand side of frame. The 5D actually has more vibrant colors, and well, they're actually green. As you can see, Portra has a little bit more of the yellows in those greens. And I can't forget to mention, when I was editing all these photos, I basically dialed them to taste without changing up the settings all that much. Just a little bump here and a little bump there. I'm talking about sliders though, not cocaine. Oh, and this next shot, the 5D seems to handle the color balance of the scene a little bit better. Feels a little bit more natural. Oh, Portra. More like Portra potty. Am I right? Now, just like I said at the beginning of this episode, a lot of photographers swear by these early CCD censored cameras, and they have a special warmth and retro color associated with them. Now, did they directly design those sensors with an inherent film quality? Who's to say? But early camera manufacturers probably didn't mean to completely copy film's look with those sensors, but were more likely influenced by celluloid and aimed to produce colors that matched the experience and expectations of film at that time. I mean, considering that was the only medium we had. That's probably why the Canon 5D looks basically identical in its body to the EOS 1N. You can't change things too quickly. The customers might freak out. I mean, look at what happened when Leica released the M5. There were riots on the streets. These images are pretty identical. They're like identical twins or something. Now, so far, the shooting experience with this 5D is super familiar. Its classic design feels right at home with any Canon shooters, especially since it does resemble a lot of the SLRs of the past. I mean, when shooting these cameras side by side, the ergonomics are like completely identical. Changing the aperture was seamless between the two cameras. In AV mode, all I had to do was just adjust the top jog wheel and set the focus to be center point on both of them. So I knew where I'd be focusing every single time. I will get back to that a little bit later on though.
So I have to say that the classic 5D has a very bright screen as compared to the EOS 1N.
And it's even more similar since the 1N advances the film for you. It was quite crazy how I felt just at home on both these cameras. Again, here in this shot, the trees in Portra are a little bit more on the yellow-greenish tone. But honestly, the color balance of these two are actually really far off from each other. So, skip!
Not going in there.
Now, you might be thinking, what about the screen on the back of the 5D? Well, that's different. And sure, but that screen is just so... It honestly is just there to judge framing. You really can't even see focus all that well, and the colors are so off, it looks like mud. But honestly, most times, I forgot it was even there. It doesn't make you want to look at it at all. Now weirdly, here in 2025, DSLRs are kind of having somewhat of a comeback kid moment. Whether it's the crazy prices of today's living expenses or the too cool for school movement, they are kind of being a viable option again. And the thing is, this 5D totally surprised me. Honestly, the hype is real. Those CCD colors are top notch, and they really do hit close to the nostalgic, retro, warm-ass tone vibes. It's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Some of those 5D images just hit home in a way that Portra just doesn't. But I guess Kodak was never really known for their greens though. That was Fuji. Rest in peace.
Nice. Now that's impressive.
Now, these two are so identical to each other. But if you zoom in, you can see that there is more detail in the digital file, or at least a little bit more shadow detail. You can even see the twigs. Now, there is one thing I want to bring up after super deep duper diving into these images, and it's about sharpening. I noticed that if you take a look at the edges of this frame here, you can see pixelation as compared to the film image. There's little jaggedy stairs. And when you make your way over to some grass detail, it looks hella crunchy and way over sharpened. Now, I did look through the menu to see if there was any sharpening settings, but I didn't see anything, so I'm not sure if you can do anything to change it. Overall, it may not be a huge deal for sharing on social or websites, but if you want to go bigger with it, there's going to be limitations. But before we get back to seeing if this digital dinosaur can really hang with the Pody Foe, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Use Photo Pro. Honestly, they're the reason this showdown is even happening, because they hooked me up with this 5D for testing and one of the nifty 50s I'm using in today. So thanks to Up. And if you don't know about them, Use Photo Pro has one of the biggest selections of used camera gear in the country. And not just digital bodies from 2005, though clearly they got those. But they also got film classics, medium format legends, and pretty much any weird rabbit hole you want to dive down. What I love most is their grading system. The conditions you see on their website is exactly what will land on your doorstep. No mystery dings, no surprise fungus, no, oh, it worked for me last time, guy, trust me, bro. Just honest gear, ready to shoot. So if you're chasing your first film camera, or maybe you want to dabble in early digital, check out Use Photo Pro for more. You'll probably find something you didn't know you needed. All right, back to the battle. Can this 20-year-old DSLR really beat Portra 400? I guess we just gotta find out. Back to the focusing of the camera. There was one time where I noticed that it didn't quite focus where I wanted it to. Kind of threw it in the background. Now, I don't know if it was me and my error, but I use that same center of focusing for everything and I put it in the same place. I'm not quite sure. It is an old camera, so maybe it just does some weird things. But as the sun was setting, I snapped this photo, similar to one earlier. But this time, I actually much prefer the Portra image. I guess Portra isn't Portra Potty after all. Sorry, Portra 400, might be. However, you can fix the white balance and get something a little bit more natural and close to Portra in color correction, so. So then, like, WTF? Has this helped my midlife digital crisis? No, I'm still confused. What the f is happening to me? So here's the thing. The CCD sensor just performs. I might not use it for professional projects because of the pixel count, but it has the greens and the versatile ISO and flexible files. However, in my eyes, film still wins. Maybe not necessarily the EOS 1N or even Portra 400 aspect of things. But if we were to swap it out for my Leica M6 or even my Nikon F3 with some Portra 800 or even Ultramax, daddy's a happy camper, and I'd pick that any day. Those combos just work for me any day of the week. Because at this point, it's about the feeling while shooting. And with today's scanning technology, you can get better resolution from film than you can with these 12 pixels. However, if I was broke and I couldn't afford film anymore, this old ass 5D would be in my camera bag. Hands down, no cap. Overall, at the end of the day, the colors that the 5D produces are phenomenal, and I can understand why people like CCD sensors. They really do have this magic quality to them that, you know, some digital cameras just today don't feel like they have. So it might be worth it to pick something up like this because honestly, they're really decently priced. Damn it, Caleb, the colors are nice. Why? Why do they have to be nice? But hey, what about you? What do you think? Have you tried CCD sensors, or are you stronger than me and still a film purist? I'd like to know in the comments below. Okay, I'll check you next time. All right, the results. You probably want to know that.